The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
So one of the things I'm most fascinated with is exactly how many people are poor in America. I think not just how many people are poor in America, how many people are poor in America and don't realize they're poor. Or how many people are poor in America and have a few things, a few items that make them feel like they aren't poor, which is probably the same as the other one. But it's specifically the possession of a few tangible items that makes people feel like they're, not poor. I won't go into conversations about how much I made or make at any given point in my life, but I would tell you I've been poor and I've made good money. I can never say I was rich, but I fell into the same category of, oh man, I got this big check coming. This next check is going to be huge. So I can do whatever I want. But it's a mindset that locks you in to this capitalistic system, and you aren't really even aware that you're locked in until capitalism has done to you what it's going to do to most people, most Americans, most humans. It's going to snatch away your productivity. It's going to snatch away all of your earnings. It's going to take everything from you. And all it would have done would have been to exploit your labor for someone else's gain. Your labor, it takes your productivity, it takes your earnings, it takes everything from you. All the while you're smiling and living your life, living your best life, so to speak. I was reading on Twitter, this young lady tweeted out something. I'm not going to say her name or her Twitter handle because she's just a Twitter user, but I just want to point it out because of the mindset. The mindset that most people have. It's not even just her. Like this is low key the way a lot of people think right now. She said, "How do y'all be grown adults with less than 500 in your bank account?" So I'm going to hold back judgment on her as an individual and speak more about that mentality. Never mind the realities of being an adult in this capitalistic system. I blame capitalism. Yes, I blame capitalism on damn near everything. Don't get me wrong. Like, you could clearly look and see how capitalism has benefited society. But if you're willing to stop there and not look at how capitalism has exacerbated so many problems globally, then you might just be a shill. Because in reality, for everything good capitalism has done, there has been an onslaught of evil, for lack of a better word. I mean, if you don't want to use the moralistic jargon, just say bad, right? The lives, the deaths, the murders, the imperialistic exploits, right? The exploitation, of human capital, the exploitation of our land and natural resources, and then just how it's structured. I mean, it's just structured. But before I even get into that, I mean, everybody listening to me already knows that, right? For the most part, if you listen to me, you've probably read Marx more than I've read Marx. So you understand the diagnosis. But what's fascinating is that today, it's capitalism is like white supremacy in a way. It is so seductive and so elusive, or actually adaptive is the word, not elusive. Adaptive is what I want to say. It has the ability to adapt for every generation to pacify, or to placate an entire generation. And what's ironic about this is that almost generation after generation, what it takes to pacify that generation is less and less because of the illusion that capitalism is offering, the mass delusion that capitalism is offering. Let me unpack that a little bit. There's a saying, when America started investing into affordable homes, or not even affordable homes, but just home ownership in general for the masses, when home ownership became synonymous with the American dream, the saying was that a person can't be a revolutionary if they have to take care of their home, if they have to cut their yard, if they have to pay a mortgage. It was the exact language, right? If a person has to pay a mortgage, then they can't join the revolution. And this was specifically in response to the Red Scare, the fears of rising communism in the United States, which it was in response to capitalism, but that's a whole different conversation. So at one point, in order to pacify the American people, they had to make home ownership readily accessible to the masses, right? They had to make education readily accessible. The GI Bill, you had to give those soldiers something to do. They came back from war. They weren't going to sit around and watch America rape them. And so they got the GI Bill. And then there were so many avenues for home ownership post World War II, excluding African Americans, excluding black people. But in general, during the time, the way they were able to satiate or to pacify that revolutionary spirit, they made sure as many people as possible owned homes. That's not even necessary today. It's not even necessary. A whopping 39% of millennials own home. The overwhelming majority of millennials don't own homes. And that's actually white millennials. Only 14%, 14.5% of black millennials own homes. So what's required to satiate this natural propensity to rebel against a system that is drenched with inequality like capitalism has declined over the generations. Like, you don't even have to give these kids homes anymore to keep them from being revolutionaries. All you got to give them now is the illusion and the dream of being an Instagram star. And I'm not saying that dismissive of the business of Instagram, man. I get it. I make my money on social media. That's how I make my money. That's how I got connected to everybody. Nobody knew who I was before Twitter. Still, most people don't even know who I am. But still, I get the economics. I get the political economy of social media, right? But there's so few far and in between people who are actually making money enough to live a reasonable lifestyle, and yet there's this mindset, this dismissive mindset of people who are struggling, when the reality is most people are struggling. Most people don't have $1,000 saved up for emergencies. Hell, most Americans don't have $500 in their savings account or their bank accounts. This isn't because they're lazy or because they have bum jobs or they have the average job. They have the average American experience. You do realize we're all living the same American experience. We're just replicating it in different households and different bodies. But we're all dealing with Sally Mae. We're all dealing with the IRS. We're all dealing with some version of this capitalistic experience that is uniquely designed to extract everything from us and leave us with nothing. I never forget. I mean, when I studied economics, one of the things that we studied was the last dollar. Like, you design your product as if there's only $1 on the table that person has, and you have to design it, or you have to design your model to be able to get that dollar. That's how they taught competition in economics. And it's been over 20 years, so I'm sure I'm fudging it a little bit, and I'm sure there's somebody in the audience who can really break it down very succinctly, but I'm not going to do that. The point is, this system is designed to take your last damn dollar. And you want to laugh? Or you want to shame someone because they don't have $500? I'm not even talking about the young sister. Like I said, I'm not going to call out her name, because that mindset is pervasive in every generation. In every generation. I'm not knocking millennials. I mean, I'm an elder millennial. I'm right there on the cusp, so I guess I am a millennial. I get it, but still, I'm not knocking millennials. But I feel like we're exchanging our revolutionary spirit for so cheap now. I mean, I personally, because I'm old and I have kids, I personally get the value of, give me a house, give me a decent car, give me a decent vacation, give me a decent savings account. let me have the idea that I might be able to retire. In reality, I probably have to work until I die, but at least let me think I'm saving towards retirement. I get it, because once you get to a certain age, you really want stability more than anything else. You're not really fit for the revolution, such as it is. No, I mean, I when I say the revolution, I mean something totally different than most people who say revolution. For those of you who are listening to me for the first time. And I'm not just throwing that word around, because you get to a certain age and you become an institutionalist. You become very vested in security. You become very invested in stability. More so than security, stability. So I get how you could be sold off. Your revolutionary spirit can be exchanged for stability in a nice neighborhood. You know what I mean? Nice schools for your kids, because you want to protect your kids' future and you want to give them the very best. But it's like, we're not even getting that anymore. So few people, 14.5% of black people are getting that. Only 39% of white millennials are getting that. You look at the median income for the average American, for the personal median income is like $32,000 a year. Sure, there's some ballers out there. You're sure there's some ladies out there who are making, just banking. Hell, I know quite a few personally. Well, not quite a few. I know a couple personally who are making so much money they don't know what to do with it. But you know who I know overwhelmingly? People who have been struggling paycheck to paycheck. They got their degrees. Hell, they got married. They got 2 incomes coming into their house, and they're still struggling paycheck to paycheck because this system is uniquely designed to extract every penny from you. Median income for the average American is $32,000 a year. You think, okay, I'll just become a lawyer and ball out as a lawyer. Okay, yeah. On the low end, attorneys make $75,000 a year. The median income for attorneys, I believe, is somewhere around $119,000 a year, which, let me tell you, it's not a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Hey, it's good money when you're only making $31,000 a year. But that ballerific lifestyle, that Instagram lifestyle where you're balling out on a yacht and all the parties and stuff, you know what I mean? Your rooftop parties, the brunch, you know what I mean? The mimosas, all that. Most people, when they're going to those brunches, they're scraping their pennies together to get there. Can we just be transparent about this? Most people, when they're going on the yacht is either rented or it's borrowed, or there's one person who made enough money to actually own a yacht, and the rest of the people on there waiting on the next paycheck. Literally. This is not to slam them. This is just, let's just talk really candid about the lifestyles that we're promoting as though these are lifestyles that are normal. These are not normal lifestyles by any measure. You get a billionaire, cool. Billionaire has a spare yacht. He lets his son use a spare yacht. The son's friends got something they're trying to pop off on Instagram. So they get a whole bunch of models. They get, they have the whole look, the whole lifestyle. In reality, everybody on that boat probably broke, waiting for their next Patreon check. Ask me how I know. We got to be really realistic about this, because the reality is if you're satisfied with the illusion of the American dream, because the American dream is so different now. It's a nightmare, but for people who are still buying into it, at one time it was that home ownership, it was that car, it was that picket fence, it was 2.5 kids, it was the ability to send your kids to college. That was the American dream. It was really enough to have people. It was like the opiate for the masses. It was enough to satiate the revolutionary rage that sits in every single American, particularly black people. But now all these niggas got to give you is the look on Instagram. And what's worse is that I feel like, so here's the thing. Home ownership, depending on when you get into it, is almost a scam. You get into it at the right time, you can make some money. You get into it at the wrong time, you're going to lose your shirt. Ask everybody in 2008. But at least you had something that had the idea of equity built into it. I mean, you could buy a home, and the idea is that home increases in value, and that's generally been the accepted, not just the accepted norm, but that's been the norm for the majority of the 20th century. Home ownership grew. The value of your home grew, rather. So you were making an investment. The American dream now of this, because it's not tied to home ownership, because nobody owned homes. The American dream now is just flexing, like, just look, being able to give the appearance as though you're balling. That's why I don't really share much of anything on social media. I just argue on social media. I don't really share anything about my life because I don't want to give the impression that I'm making more money than I actually am, because I'm not. Which is why I need you to go to patreon.com/the BPD show. Because I mean, seriously, we're all trapped in this system, right? And we all need your support. I'm no different. I'm tied into the system. I need as many patrons as I can get. I need as many hits as I can get. But I'm very cognizant of the reality that this system is worse now than ever before, because what you're investing in, the appearance of balling, the appearance of just the car that you want to get this car so you could put the picture on Instagram. Fool, you about to be broke. And the problem is that this American delusion now is perfectly attuned to give you nothing in return, no equity in return. The clothes that you're wearing, there's no equity in that. The car that you bought, zero equity, negative equity. The yacht parties, the ball out, the $1,000 at the club that night. And I'm guilty of all of it. Trust me, I'm guilty of all of it. Particularly buying bottles at the club. I've spent, oh my God. If I told you how much I spent. Yeah. So anyway, the point is, the point is that this generation, if they really knew what was coming around the corner for them, and I hate to use this phrase because I guess I am an old head. I used to hate when people say this young generation coming up doesn't know what they're doing. But in reality, if this younger generation honestly knew what was waiting on the other side of youth, of their youthful bliss, on the other side, I mean, if they understood what reality was waiting to do to them, if they understood what capitalism was ready to do to them as soon as they have to face the reality, right? As soon as they no longer have that income stream or that support from their parents, as soon as they have to get out there on their own, as soon as they have to pay rent, my nigga, as soon as the first of the month comes up and you like $100 short and you got to ask somebody for some money, as soon as that reality hits, if they understood what was on the other side of that reality, they'd be the most revolutionary generation we've ever seen. And that's why it's so important. I say this sarcastically, but that's why it's so important that this system, this capitalistic system, this American imperialistic capitalistic system constantly gives the public something to keep them satisfied. Who knew that all they had to give them in this generation was social media? Because of the illusion of being able to flex and stunt on them hoes and balling out and posting the perfect selfie and all those tools are literally and again, don't get me wrong, I'm going to post as soon as I'm off this podcast. Literally going to post all this about this. You know what I mean? So I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, girl, social media." I'm not that old man on the porch. I'm a victim of this too. I'm a cog in this same machine. Even my ranting right now. If you guys ever seen, Black Mirror? There's an episode of Black Mirror with the guy from Black Panther and Get Out. I can't think of his name. I don't feel like Googling it right now. But he was the main character on an episode of Black Mirror, and he started to see the injustice in the system, and he became so infuriated with the injustices in the system that he was really ready to kill himself on live international television where the entire world was watching him. And it was such a powerful moment, and it was such a salient moment. It was a moment that could have set off a revolution that would have fundamentally changed the entire system that he was suffering in. And you know what they did? They co-opted him. They gave him a show. They gave him basically a podcast. I paid him a whole lot of money to do his podcast, where every night he got on there and did the same exact stunt that he did. That the stunt that could have set off the revolution now became a commodity in the system. So I'm just as much a part of this as the people, the Instagram models and the dudes on Instagram that I'm talking about, the SoundCloud artists, people who invest. Oh, God, I've been a part. I guess the reason I know this so well is because I've been a part of every bit of that. I understand how much money it goes into producing music, and time and energy and drive and work ethic that goes into producing an album just to have it here, have 80 people download your shit. So I'm not coming at you. I'm not coming at anybody like shaming them because of what they're doing, because I've probably done all of it. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment and building a studio and producing people and recording albums, and did that in my early 20s, right? I did all that. And so I understand why it's important to people to be able to do those things. But I also understand like it is the perfect system right now to constantly drain you. You want to go to school and become an attorney? Great. It's going to drain you. You're going to have over $100,000 easily in student loan debt just to make $119,000 a year. And even if you get an income-based repayment plan with Sally Mae, you're going to be paying about $1,100 a month just on student loans. Some cities, that's rent. In other cities, that's not even half of rent. The whole point of what I'm saying is that, man, like, seriously, if just understand what you're actually dealing with. For you want a baller? Cool. Just realize that the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the people who you think are balling, are broke. So that means if you're really dead set on meeting a lady who's going to be able to pay all your bills, right? You want a sugar mama, right? The chances are there's probably about 50 guys chasing after that one woman who has the wealth. Probably 100. And I'm using that example, obviously, because the cliche example, the trope is that it's women who are chasing men for money. But the reality of it is we're all out here chasing money. We're all out here exploiting each other. We're all out here taking advantage of each other, trying to get ahead in this system that's designed to exploit all of us. And if we understood that, if we really understood that, well, hell, they'd come up with a new way. They'd crush this revolution, and then they'll come up with a new way to satiate us. But I mean, hell, can't we at a minimum? This is where I differ from, like, this is where I depart from a lot of actual true revolutionaries. This is why I say I'm not, when I say revolution, I don't mean take up arms, because like I'm over that age. I'm well past that age. I have kids. I have a 1-year-old, right? I ain't nobody, I'm an institutionalist at this point, right? I'm more interested in stability than anything else. But at the same time, I understand that this is not tenable. This is not something that can stand, because if you look at there was a chart of the median income for millennials, and the median income state by state, I didn't see a single state where the median income for millennials was more than $30,000 a year. And hold on, and I keep saying median income, but maybe somebody's listening and they don't understand what median income. I'm not talking about the average income, because if you take the average income, that can be inflated by the fact that you have a millennial who is a billionaire, like your boy, the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, right? And his value, his income alone, right, is enough to distort what millennials make on an average basis, on an annual basis, rather. The median income is like you line up every millennial in this country, and you go dead smack in the middle. Half of the millennials are above that point, half of the millennials are below that point. Dead smack in the middle, the median income for millennials across this country, state by state, I didn't see a single one that went over $30,000. So that means literally half of millennials out there are making less than $30,000 a year. And don't mistake millennials for Generation Z. Millennials are old, man. Y'all about to turn 30. Y'all about to turn, some of y'all, my age about to turn 39 next week. Don't forget my birthday. So I'm not talking about Generation Z. It's probably worse for Generation Z, people who are just getting out of college now. I'm talking about millennials who have been out of college for a while. These are grown-ass people with grown-ass responsibilities, and the median income is less than $30,000. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, because this is what I was going to say is the reason I'm not the revolutionary that's like Generation Z should be. One is because I have kids, and when you have kids, you look for stability. I'm not looking for America to go into a war where we turn out and look, like hell. Listen, literally, like the children of Syria. I mean, look at what happened at that civil war. Like, look at how their lives changed within a 1 year span. That I'm not interested in. But at the same time, if we keep feeding the younger generation's delusions and making the reality so much harder to attain, any measure, any modicum of success, any measure of acceptable success. They can't own homes. They can barely buy cars, right? The cars that they can buy are, I'm not even knocking them. Kia's good at this point. But you keep taking from us. Capitalism keeps taking from us and giving us nothing in return. Shit's about to pop off. So at a minimum, we have to be able to demand more. Like if you really want us not to go the hell off, if you really want us not to set this thing off the way it deserves to be set off, then you got to come to the table and give us a whole lot more than what you're giving us. And for some of our friends listening to this, they're like, nah, don't give us nothing. Let's set it off right now. Well, you better do it before you get kids. No. I mean, however you come to terms with the reality surrounding you, that's on you. I'm not going to judge you one way or the other. However you come to grips with the fact that you are a cog in the machine, and that machine is uniquely designed to extract all of your life's labor. Every 40-hour week, every 80-hour week, it's going to take all of your labor. It's going to take all of your productivity. It's going to take all of the money, the revenue that you would get off your labor. It's going to take that, because as soon as you make the money is gone. That's paycheck to paycheck. So it's designed to keep you in the machine for the rest of your life, to have you working for the rest of your life. And when you die, you have nothing. However you come to grips with that reality, I'm not going to judge you. Got no judgment. But I also know that I'm not going to shame anybody because they don't have any money. What the hell is that? The reality of it is those people who are doing the shaming, they don't have money themselves. The odds are in their favor, or the odds are in my favor on that, because the overwhelming majority of Americans don't have shit. So people who are online and shaming, I'm looking for, you got to have some money, whatever. The fact is that they don't have any money. And she doesn't have any money to give you. And he doesn't have any money to give you. Because you know why? Capitalism has stolen it all from us. And if you're not yet in this system, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not yet inserted into this system where all you do is work, and all this system does is take your work and make money off your work, and then take the money that you would have made and could have kept from your work, but they take that to pay all your bills. They take that to pay everything. And the only thing that you could do luxurious is actually just go to a movie, and then they take that money as well. And what are you left with? Just enough. Maybe you have 3 cents left over, and you ride out until if I could just, I got enough groceries in my refrigerator. So if I could just hold tight for about 3 more days to payday, don't go nowhere. I can't go nowhere because I can't put gas in the car. Or if you're lucky, you got a credit card and you have like $5 up on that credit card. But see, the way credit cards work is they only put an initial charge of $1. So you swipe that card and you fill your tank up and just deal with that over the limit charge later on. See, I understand this game very intimately. I've been extremely poor and I've made some pretty damn good money. And I know enough to realize that all of this that you are experiencing is being experienced over and over and over and over again, replicated across race. It's exacerbated for African Americans. Only 14.9% of African American millennials own homes, as opposed to 39.5% of white millennials. But it's still being replicated across the country, exacerbated by race. And what's the point? Man, the point is don't settle for this generation's. Don't settle for what this generation is offering you. Let me rephrase that. The point is, don't settle for what this iteration of capitalism is offering this generation. Baby boomers were offered homes and education in order to not revolt. And all they're offering you is a good selfie for Instagram for you not to rebel. Step up your standards. Upgrade yourself. Demand more. If you're going to demand more, don't demand. Whatever you do in your personal relationships is your business. I don't give a damn about that. But we put more energy demanding more out of our boyfriends and out of our girlfriends and our babes and our boos and whatever than we do this system. Like, for real, demand more from America. Demand more from capitalism, or else we got to crush it. Nobody says we have to sit here and be a wage slave for the rest of our lives and just accept it. We demand what we want out of this system because the numbers are on our side. The majority of us are poor. And where the majority is, that's where our politics go. And where our politics go, that's where our economics go. I'm done. See you tomorrow or someday this week. I don't know. Later.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.